Imagine walking into your workplace, pouring your morning coffee, only to have your daily routine interrupted by verbal abuse, physical threats, and teenagers literally barking at you like dogs.
Right, it sounds like some kind of surreal nightmare. But for thousands of teachers right now, that is just a standard Tuesday morning.
Welcome to this deep dive. Our mission today is to explore a massive, growing behavioral crisis in UK classrooms.
Yeah, we have a lot of ground to cover.
Exactly. We are unpacking a huge stack of sources for you today. We have a NASUT Teachers Union survey of nearly 6,000 educators. We have a National Education Union toolkit. We also brought in an academic paper from the CHI conference, plus some really eye-opening news reports from The Guardian and Gloucestershire Live.
That is a massive amount of data.
It really is. And over the next few minutes, we will break down exactly how online trends drive real-world chaos, how teachers are fighting back, and what this means for the future of education.
The numbers paint a very stark picture of what happens when digital algorithm culture collides with the physical classroom.
But before we really jump in, we need to set one quick ground rule for you, the listener.
Yes, this is important.
The sources we are looking at today mention some highly politically charged figures. Specifically, the research highlights how students mimic the rhetoric of figures like Donald Trump and Andrew Tate.
Right.
So we want to be crystal clear right out of the gate. We do not take any sides here. We remain strictly impartial.
We're just looking at the data.
Exactly. Our job is not to endorse or condemn anyone's politics. We simply report exactly what the teachers and the surveys state these kids are watching and repeating.
That is a crucial distinction. We just want to convey the facts and the experiences of the educators on the ground.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when I was looking through the NASO survey you sent over, I had to reread the first page.
I know it.
I honestly thought there was a typo. The statistics grab your attention right by the collar. Listen to this. In the last 12 months, 85% of surveyed teachers experienced verbal abuse.
85%.
Almost 9 out of 10 teachers. And it gets worse. 40% faced actual physical violence.
When you look at a sample size of nearly 6,000 people, those percentages represent a staggering number of daily incidents.
Yeah, it's not just a few isolated cases.
No, not at all. And the survey breaks down exactly what that violence looks like. We need to use clear language here so we don't sugarcoat the reality.
Right. Tell them what the report says.
Pupils hit teachers. They punch them. They shove them in the hallways. Almost 1 in 10 teachers report that students actually spit at them.
Wait, hold on. Spit at them.
Yes.
That is incredibly degrading, and it goes beyond just punches. The weapons data is what really made my jaw drop.
It is terrifying. The survey data shows that 7% of teachers face threats of assault with weapons.
Weapons in school?
Yes. We are talking about students bringing knives, scissors, and BB guns right into the classroom.
Wow.
One teacher of the union survey reported suffering dislocated ribs and torn muscles after a sudden assault by a student.
Dislocated ribs.
Yeah. Another teacher reported that a student threatened to, quote, slit my throat and stab me in the neck.
That is completely insane. So who is actually committing these acts? If you hear about knives and dislocated ribs, you probably picture older teenagers, right? Like high school guys.
You would naturally assume that. But the data points somewhere else entirely. The union survey identifies 12 to 14-year-olds as the primary age group driving this physical and verbal abuse.
12 years old.
Yes.
That is 6th or 7th grade. They still have baby teeth falling out at that age. How does a 12-year-old get to a point where they threaten a teacher with a weapon or punch an adult in the face?
Well, what's fascinating here is what the teachers themselves blamed for this massive shift in behavior.
Which is what?
59% of the surveyed teachers named social media as the main driver of this poor behavior.
The internet.
Exactly. They say the digital world completely rewires how these kids interact with authority. And, as a quick side note, 54% of teachers also cite vaping as a major disruption.
Right, they want those nicotine hits.
Yes. Students demand to leave the room to vape, and they become highly agitated if they are told no. But the core driver of the outright abuse is the media they consume online.
I really want to dig into that consumption. It blows my mind that a 12-year-old even knows how to articulate the kind of targeted misogyny mentioned in these reports.
It is alarming.
Where are they picking this up? The Guardian article and the conference paper detail this pipeline very clearly. Teachers report that boys specifically mimic manosphere influencers.
Yes, they watch online videos that promote extreme anti-women views, and then they bring that exact behavior straight into the schoolyard.
They just copy what they see.
Right. The reports highlight that kids mirror the aggressive rhetoric of highly polarized figures like Andrew Tate, And they sometimes adopt the combative debate styles of political figures like Donald Trump.
Again, staying totally impartial here.
Absolutely. The point the researchers make is just that algorithms serve up combative, dominant male figures to young boys, and the boys simply copy that persona.
And the specific behaviors are just so bizarre.
Yeah.
The Guardian piece highlights that male students intentionally bark at female staff.
Like dogs.
Like dogs. They physically block doorways just to intimidate female teachers trying to enter their own classrooms. They walk down the halls making Nazi jokes just to get a shocked reaction.
It is a deliberate strategy to disrupt.
And perhaps most alarming, this isn't just a middle school problem. The reports show this happens in primary schools, too. 10-year-old boys refuse to speak to female teachers.
Yes.
They choose only to address male teaching assistants because online influencers tell them women are biologically inferior.
Think about the psychological impact of that on a classroom. 10 years old means they internalize this behavior before they even reach middle school.
It is wild.
And the academic papers describe a broader attitude accompanying this. They call it the alien right mindset.
Let's break that term down because it sounds like a sci-fi concept. What exactly is the alien right mindset?
Essentially, it means the students feel they possess an absolute right to do whatever they want, particularly regarding their mobile phones.
The phones.
It is like the saying, the customer's always right, but applied to children. They disrupt lessons constantly because they demand instant gratification.
Right.
If a teacher asks them to put the phone away, they view it as a violation of their fundamental human rights, and they react with explosive anger.
Which brings up the psychology behind it. The K conference paper does a great job explaining why this hyper-aggressive message appeals to these boys.
It really does. The researchers note that these young men often feel threatened by the rising status of women in society.
Society is changing fast.
Exactly. Societal roles are shifting, and young boys feel confused about their own role. They do not have the emotional maturity to process those complex shifts. So they look for easy answers.
And the algorithm provides those easy answers.
Right. The algorithm feeds them a figure who says, you are right to be angry, and here is who you should blame. The paper notes that boys actually form support groups in schools to push back against female achievements. They use the rhetoric of online influencers to regain a sense of power.
But they do it at the direct expense of their female classmates and teachers.
Yes.
Think about how hard it is for you to put your phone down when you scroll on the couch after work. It takes willpower.
It does.
Now imagine trying to force 30 hormonal teenagers to put their phones away while trying to teach them algebra, while they actively repeat lines they heard from a radical internet personality.
It is an impossible situation.
So what does this all mean for the people actually trying to teach? If you are a teacher walking into this environment every single day, how do you survive?
The brutal answer is, many of them simply don't. The mental health statistics in the Union survey are devastating.
Lay the numbers on us.
77% of teachers say their morale and enthusiasm have significantly dropped. 62% experience severe stress. Half of them suffer from diagnosed anxiety.
And they take actual medical leave because of it.
Yes. 8% of teachers have taken time off work specifically for mental health issues related to this abuse.
Wow.
The data mentions one severe anecdote where a teacher actually suffered stress-induced epileptic seizures because the daily environment was so toxic.
That brings up a really big question for me. If the abuse is this bad, if people are getting dislocated ribs and having seizures, why aren't teachers just reporting every single incident to their principals?
You would think the paper trail would be a mile long.
Right.
But the reality on the ground is different. The researchers call this phenomenon reporting fatigue.
Reporting fatigue.
Yes. 66% of teachers do not report incidents because they believe absolutely nothing will be done. They feel it is a complete waste of time.
I mean, that makes sense.
And 44% say the reporting process is just too bureaucratic.
They already have zero time to teach and grade papers, let alone fill out endless administrative forms every time a 12-year-old shoves them.
And here is the really wild part. It gets worse when they actually do report it.
How so?
When teachers push through the fatigue and report the behavior, they often feel intimidated or blamed by their own school management.
You are kidding.
No. Instead of receiving support, they face hostile drop-in observations. Management implies that if the teacher was just better at their job, the students wouldn't behave this way.
Wow. Imagine doing your job, getting threatened with a knife, filling out a 3-page report, and then your boss schedules a surprise observation to see what you're doing wrong.
It is institutional betrayal. One teacher noted that reliving the abuse just to fill out the report severely damaged their mental health all over again.
And it makes total sense why this leads directly into a massive staffing crisis.
Exactly.
The NACIS survey shows that 52% of teachers are seriously considering quitting the profession entirely. More than half the workforce wants out.
And we have to look at the ripple effect of that. When staff members leave, schools struggle to replace them. Nobody wants that job.
Right.
So the remaining teachers face larger class sizes, they have less support, more stress, and the behavioral problems multiply.
It is a vicious cycle. It degrades the entire educational environment for the kids who actually want to learn.
But the teachers are not just sitting back and accepting this reality.
No, they aren't. Here's where it gets really interesting. We are seeing a massive pushback from the educators and their unions. They are drawing a line in the sand.
A prime example of this is the strike action at Tewkesbury Academy. Gloucestershire Live covered it in detail.
They actually walked out.
Yes. The staff didn't just write a letter. They went on strike specifically because of unchecked, racist, and misogynistic abuse from male students.
They had enough.
They stated clearly to the press that they lacked support from leadership, and they simply refused to work in an unsafe environment for one more day.
I love seeing that kind of proactive response. And it is not just strikes. The unions are building practical solutions to change the culture.
Right, like the NEU.
Exactly. The National Education Union created an entire toolkit called It's Not Okay.
The NEU toolkit is fascinating because it outlines a whole school approach. It provides a bystander intervention model.
Like teaching the kids to be the immune system of the school.
Yes. Instead of just watching someone get harassed and staying silent, students and staff get specific scripts. They learn to interrupt the harassment right when it happens.
It empowers the students to reject the behavior themselves. The reports detail how educators help students set up groups like Schools Against Sexism.
Which is brilliant.
It gets the kids involved. When a 13-year-old boy hears a teacher say, "Stop barking," he rebels. But when he hears the popular kids say, "Dude, stop barking," he actually listens.
Peer pressure used for good. But the unions know peer pressure isn't enough on its own. The NASU union is pushing for major policy changes.
Right.
The biggest demand. They want an absolute end to no exclusion policies.
Let's explain why a school would ever have a no exclusion policy. Because to the average person, it sounds crazy to keep a violent kid in class.
It comes down to metrics and funding. Many schools try desperately to avoid suspending students because they want to meet strict attendance targets set by the government.
Data looks good on paper.
Exactly. But the union argues that keeping violent kids in the classroom just to make the spreadsheet look good physically endangers everyone else.
Right. It completely ruins the learning environment for the other 30 kids who want to learn. You sacrifice 30 educations to appease one abuser.
The teachers are also demanding that parents face tangible consequences.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yes, if parents refuse to uphold school rules or if they defend their child's abusive behavior, the union argues the child should lose their spot in that class.
They want to force parents to actually parent.
Exactly. And the Kaigi conference paper brings up one final crucial insight regarding this pushback. It all comes down to training.
Training for the teachers.
Right now, subjects like personal, social, health, and economic education, often called PSHE, are usually taught by regular staff filling gaps in their schedule.
Right.
These teachers often have absolutely no special training on how to handle explosive discussions about gender, respect, and modern online relationships.
Imagine you have a degree in biology. You went to university to teach kids about photosynthesis. Suddenly, you are forced to moderate an aggressive debate with a 12-year-old about toxic masculinity.
With zero preparation or backing from your boss.
I would probably need a stress leave, too.
You are asking amateurs to defuse cultural bombs. The researchers argue that we either need to train all teachers thoroughly or we need to hire specialized staff.
You cannot expect everyday educators to dismantle radical online ideologies without giving them the tools.
Exactly.
So, we have reached the bottom of our stack of sources for today. Let's summarize the core conflict of this deep dive.
Let's do it.
Educators right now are forced onto the front lines of a cultural war they didn't sign up for. They are battling global algorithms, they are fighting severe digital addiction and rapidly shifting cultural attitudes.
All while using outdated resources.
It is, yes, and zero specialized training when you actually look at the math. Plus, very limited support from their own leadership
for a second
who just
that you
want
have
the
a savings
paperwork to
account.
look clean.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, You
really
swore
have
to
to
your
think about the
family,
digital
hand over heart,
content consumed in your
that
own
this money
home
was
or
strictly
community.
for
It
fixing a
is
leaking
easy to
roof.
think of the internet as a
You
separate
said,
place that doesn't
if
matter.
we don't fix this roof,
But the media,
the house is
a
going to
12-year-old
collapse.
It's an
consumes alone
existential
in their
crisis for
bedroom,
the house.
Exactly.
inevitably
it's to save the
spills
house
over
fund.
into the real
But
world.
then, your car breaks
It
down.
completely
You spend a little too
reshapes
much on
physical
groceries,
environments
you've got bills
as
piling
essential
up.
as
So
your
what do you
local
do?
school.
You raid the
It
roof fund.
changes how an
take
entire
that money,
generation
pay off
views
your credit
authority,
cards, and
how
tell
they
your
view
family, "Hey, don't worry,
respect,
we'll
and how
fix
they
the
view
roof
each
later."
other,
Right.
which leaves you
And
with
in
a
this
final
scenario,
provocative
The
thought.
roof is the
Think about
planet,
the future.
or at least
Right.
Maryland's
Think
climate
about
goals.
this.
And
If
the car is a
basic
massive
2D social
self-inflicted
media algorithms on flat
$1.5
mobile
billion
phones manage to
state budget
completely
deficit.
rewire
completely
classroom
avoidable
behavior
deficit, I
in
might
just
add.
a few
Welcome to the
short
deep dive.
years.
And practically
Today
destroy
we're exploring
traditional
a
school
classic
authority.
case of fiscal
Exactly.
sleight of hand
What is going to
coming out
happen
of
to our
Annapolis.
schools when the
We are
next
looking at the
generation of
Strategic
highly
Energy
immersive
Investment
technology hits the
the
schoolyard?
SAFE.
Like virtual
It's a
reality.
huge
Yes,
pot of
or
money
when kids
meant to
form
save the
deep
environment.
psychological
But it's
bonds
turning
with
into a
highly
hidden
persuasive
tax
AI
on every single
companions.
person paying an
How will a
electric
human
bill
teacher
in
ever
Maryland.
compete for their
It really
respect
is.
and
It's become the
attention?
center of a
It is
huge
a
political
truly
fight.
daunting
You've got
question.
a Democratic governor,
And
frustrated
judging by the data we looked
environmentalists
at
making
today,
some very awkward
it is one we need to
compromises,
figure out very
and
soon.
conservative
Something
critics
for
who
you to
are
mull
rightly
over the
calling
next
this whole
time you
thing
see a
a
kid
shell
glued
game.
to
A shell game.
Thank you so
And
much
when
for
you look
joining
at the
us on this
documents we
deep
have
dive.
today,
Keep asking
reports,
questions, keep looking
budget
at the data,
proposals,
and
critiques
we will
from
see you
Senate
next time.
Republicans,